Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Red Sea podcast. And as you can see immediately, there's a difference. There's a difference that we will have to bear with a bit, especially today, because this one is going to be, of course, a full episode, but this one is going to be a bit more of a test. For those of you that weren't with us last summer when we were significantly smaller, I am currently on vacation. I'm not home. But there was no way I would leave you all without shows. I love this and I want to take it everywhere with me. But this is more of a precaution for the next few shows. I don't really have Wi-Fi here, so I'm working with data. Καλησπέρα και ευχαριστώ πολύ. I'm working with data, okay? So you'll have to bear with me. I think I've set everything up correctly, but as always, first show, possible technical difficulties, worst case scenario, we'll redo this. It won't be the first time. A little backstory for those of you that aren't in on the joke. Episode 1 of this show is a redo because this channel was falsely banned twice. So episode 1 of this show is technically episode 3. The other two are lost media. Just a Red Sea podcast fun fact. Sadly, the background won't be here for a while, but I will set something up. Once I make sure that everything's running fine, I'll set something up. I have, of course, taken this with me because this is easily my favorite scarf now. But I just want to make sure before we fully get into football and everything, has everything been running smoothly up to now? Because I'm worried. Do let me know and I will get straight into the important stuff. As always, I hope you are all at least getting consistent sound, even if the camera is a bit wonky. I can see that I am currently purple in the video. But yeah, this is a bit longer of an intro just to make sure everything's working well. Next few episodes that are going to be here are going to have normal intros and everything will be fine. So just let me know if everything's running smoothly, if you can hear me okay, if you can see me okay, and we'll move on. Links you need to see, as always, are down below. That hasn't changed. Go vote for us for Best International Podcast for the FCAs if you like what you see. Time's running out. Votes go until August 5th. So up until then, I'll promote it a few more times. I know a lot of people that have already voted for the show, so I am extremely grateful towards all of you. And everything else you need is at its usual place. Now, Καλησπέρα πάντα και στην κατακόκκινη Μυτιλήνη, γιατί είναι όντως κατακόκκινη. Now, let's get into the good stuff. Well, good. You can take it as you wish. Friendlies are done. Pre-season is technically done. The main stage of pre-season is done. We sadly ended the main stage of pre-season with two very different, very weird losses. The loss yesterday and the loss today are a bit non-comparable, in my opinion, if that makes sense, because you have a result that you really didn't show up for, and really you played the team an 11 that you will never even play before, that you have never even played before, nor will you play after together. And you sadly didn't get any proper football out of that 11. The 11 against Antwerp was Balsa Popovic under the sticks, Francisco Ortega. We'll get to the comment in a bit. Lorenzo Pirola, Isidoros Kouchidis, Pablo Maffeo, Dan Garcia, Christos Filis, Kikinio, Zelson Fortounis, and Roman Yaremchuk. I have a few things to say about this 11. First things first. This 11 together is never going to play again. Was never going to play in any official games. We'll never see that football from that 11 again. So that's a worry you will need to get off your back completely. But going more individually focused, this was perhaps a bell that needed to be rung sooner rather than later about the weaknesses in Olympiacos. The fact that a lot of players in the team, apart from what is more than likely said to be the starting 11, there is a lot of deadwood in this team still that needs to go. There is a lot of positions that Olympiacos still has to either bring people in or upgrade, and we are 2 weeks away from qualifiers. It's worrying. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not. It's worrying, it's concerning. It's very concerning. Going more individually about the 11, I have some popular opinions and some unpopular opinions. First things first, despite the score, I want to, and don't crucify me here, I want to give my props to Balsa Popovic. I think the score does him a bit of injustice, especially since 2 out of 3 goals he couldn't do anything about. The game could have been a lot worse with how the rest of the team played. He made a lot of good saves, especially in the first half. But he does have the burden of that 3-0 on his head, as sadly, usually the goalkeepers do, despite the reasoning of the goals of the match. There is still a lot of work that needs to happen in regards to his game, especially on free kicks and stuff, on set pieces. That's the word I was looking for. There needs to be a bit of work focused there. But aside from that, talking about a second choice goalkeeper, I'm not mad. Balsapovic is gonna get a few games this season. I think that apart from the cup, in which I really don't expect him to start all the games, I am really expecting either of the other two to get games between Stournaras and Chobanidis due to the new rule as well of the Greek Football Federation and the players that need to start in cup games. But he will certainly get a role in the cup in general. And I think, depending on who comes in, we'll talk about transfers a lot in a bit. I think he gets some league games as well. Balsa Popovic is not a bad goalkeeper. He is relatively young still for a goalkeeper. He's not a wonder kid, but he definitely hasn't reached his peak yet. And I am leaving this preseason behind, looking at his transfer more on the positive side, if anything. I really am. We are gonna do a separate show in regards to how each Olympiacos player did preseason wise. But for now, first comments, because I do want to focus more on the transfers for today and how they did in the preseason. I'm hesitantly positive. I'm not over the moon, but I'm positive about Balsa Popovic. On the other hand, someone who I am not really that positive about is Pablo Maffeo. Perhaps I built up a lot of expectations because we are talking about someone that spent years and years and years on as a La Liga starter, having gone up against some of the best in current football. And yet, he's not great. We talked about how he wouldn't be the most productive right back ever. But I personally, and I think a lot more people personally, expected more from him coming in. I think I expected him to be a lot more ready than he's looked, especially defensively. Because offensively, I said this last time, I'm on the fence today. Because last time, really, he couldn't do much offensively. But in the last few friendlies, he's played with proper wingers in front of him. So you can't really say much. But solely in regards to yesterday as well, I really expected more, but I am going to take a step back and say that I don't want to just crucify a player from the friendlies. We will see him probably start against Nijmegen, and we'll have a much clearer picture of what Pablo Maffeo will give to this team and where he stands from that game onwards. But I am thankful, and I'm going to tie it in a bit with something we'll get into later, that we got Manolis Saliakas. Which, by the way, just an injury report, both Santiago Esse and Manolis Saliakas are expected to be available for the first game against NEC Nijmegen. Santiago's substitution was more of a direct knock than an injury. Like, he got hurt from a tackle. He didn't feel any discomfort as originally reported or anything. And I think Manolis Saliakas was more muscle cramps than anything, more unreadiness than anything. So they both should be fine going into the qualifiers. Center back wise, I'm still happy. Koutsidis didn't look amazing against Antwerp, but I'm still going to back the kid because he has had quite a good preseason, and Pirola is Pirola. And I'll get God. Dani Garcia. My. Look, okay. I have done my best, done all I can to try and reason with his renewal, saying that he'll have a minor role in everything, he wouldn't affect the game that much. And while he isn't really expected to start, thankfully, because the team is also going in for another midfielder, so the 6-ish role is going to be covered by Santi, then it's going to be covered by Lolo Scipioni, and then Dani Garcia, hopefully. But my this man and his yellow cards, I want to say I'm disappointed. And especially yesterday with a midfield of Dani Garcia and Christos Philis, I really didn't expect a masterclass of football. And again, I'm not going to blame the kid. The Christos Philis may have had a relatively quiet to mediocre game yesterday, but he had Dani Garcia next to him. You just can't start this guy. And it's not because he's a bad player. Dani Garcia isn't a bad player. It's the matter of fact that no one can beat Father Time. No one can beat time. This man should be a locker room leader. Genuinely would love that if he had a minor role on the field and a major role off of it. He deserves that. Dani Garcia is a leader. Playing wise, though, he can't keep up anymore. Dani Garcia should have a closing out role in the league. That's that. Nothing more. And knock on wood, be glad that Santi Esse is gonna be fit for Nijmegen, because with Lolo Scipioni still listed as unavailable, we would have seen a midfield duo of Dani Garcia and Christos Mouzakitis. No shade on Mouza, but he just doesn't pair well with Dani Garcia. We've seen that before. Hopefully, the ideal pairing that we'll see in the first game against Nijmegen is either going to be Santi Musa or Santi and the new midfielder, if he has come in, and Musa to come in off the bench. Please. I can't say it much better. Just please. Another person I want to focus on in regards to yesterday's friendly, and then we'll get to today's as we go on, because I have a lot more to say about today's very weird friendly rather than yesterday's, is the fact that I am worried, quote unquote, about Chiquinho. Chiqui suffered a lot of injury problems last year. Chiqui is still playing a role that he can play because he is Chiquinho, but a role that isn't his. Even though I hope that now that both Kostas Fortounis and Jota Silva are in the team, Chiqui perhaps can either come off the bench or start in his original role, hopefully, which of course is the 8. For those of you that perhaps have forgotten, since this man has played the 6, the 8, the 10, and the right winger in his Olympiacos tenure. But he is an 8. He is a central midfielder, a very talented one at that. But in regards to pre-season, he's looked very hesitant. And I hope he's just looking after himself, looking after his own body, in aims to be fully fit for the qualifiers. Because Chiquinho is an amazing player. Chiquinho is probably one of the most out-and-out quality players in this team. And even if we get to a place where Chiquinho comes off the bench, as long as he's fit and feeling good with himself, we're still going to get a lot from Chiquinho for a lot more time. I don't know if you agree. I don't know if you disagree. As always, leave it in the comments. Now, slowly but surely, let's move on to Alkmaar. This game was probably the definition of a game of two halves. Olympiacos spent about 60 to 70 minutes of this game playing the best football that we have played all pre-season, having a comfortable lead, not letting Alkmaar take a breather, and then around the 60th to 70th minute, it all falls apart. Good. The starting 11 for today's friendly was Dimitris Tournaras, under the sticks, Manolis Saliakas, I almost said that in the man's accent, Manolis Saliakas at right back, David Carmo and Zinedine Smilovic at centre back, Bruno Onyemaitsi at left back, who got substituted for Danny Garcia. I just saw that. I didn't realize that it was Bruno that gave up his position for Garcia. Santiago Esse Christos Mouzakitis, Joel Roca, Rodinei, Jota Silva, and Ayoub El Kabi. Now, let's take this game slowly. Olympiacos open up the game and look the much better team. There's no real chances. Even until the goal from Alkmaar, and we're getting there slowly but surely. We get a free kick. Santiago Esse gets the ball from long range and sends an absolute bomb towards the keeper. The keeper who was, let me not mess that up, the Busser. He sends an absolute bomb towards him. He drops it. El Kabi is there, as he always is. And Ayoub El Kabi, 20-something minutes into his return, I'm pretty sure it was. 24, yes it was. 24 minutes into his return, Ayoub El Kabi scores for Olympiacos, as he always does. And then we continue. Up-tempo. Alkmaar pick it up a bit, but we do continue. And right at the death of half-time, Christos Mouzakitis puts in an unbelievable corner, to be fair. And the man himself that celebrated like he scored in a Champions League final. And I loved that from David Carmo. Put us up 2-0. And then chaos happened. We open up the second half still controlling the tempo. We play on, we go on. Of course, this is after Santiago Esse had been injured around the 37th minute, which led to Yorgos Masouras getting substituted in for him. So the midfield was already weakened, but we move. Time goes on. Manolis Saliakas looks like prime Cafu compared to what we've seen up to now from the right back position. And then Manolis Saliakas himself gets injured. As we said earlier, thankfully, not seriously. Pablo Maffeo comes in. And then for some reason, as I said a bit ago, all hell breaks loose. It started in the 72nd minute, where Alkmaar get their first. Then in the 77th, a very unlucky, to be fair, own goal by David Carmo that in a serious match it wouldn't have even counted due to the extra football on the field. Like, let's not just bypass that happened. But again, we move. And in the 89th minute, 10 to 15 minutes after Dani Garcia comes in, he concedes a penalty. Now, again, do not crucify me here. It's not a penalty. I know. I am well aware that it's not a penalty. But at the death of a game, where you are drawing with the opposition, not even winning, drawing, who goes in like that in the box? Who goes in for a challenge like that at the 90th minute of a game? Of course he would dive. If this was an official game, there would have been VAR. And if there was VAR, this would have been taken back. But I repeat, who dives like that? Who challenges like that? Who goes in like that in the box? Come on. And I did see this message as well. And I am gonna actually disagree here. You all know my opinion about Bruno. I expected this to happen. I am back. And I have fixed the issue quite fast. Okay. Let me know if everything's back. Is the sound back? Are we back? This is what can happen with solo shows, ladies and gents. Just let me know, give me a quick confirmation that we're back, and we will continue right where we left off. I know what happened. I wanted to test something. It didn't work. We'll fix it for next time. I know exactly what the problem was. Just drop me the confirmation that I'm back and we're perfect. Okay. Okay, we're good. We're good. I'm glad we're fine. Let me know if something breaks again. I was gone for about a minute. I hope. Was it like a minute? Do let me know. But yeah, stuff happens on live shows, especially solo shows. I have fixed it already and it won't happen again. For those of you wondering what happened, my phone overheated. But I had an extra hotspot ready on the side just in case I needed to use it. And now I've switched to that. So we shouldn't have any more emergency issues, and future shows will definitely not have any problems like that. If it cuts off again today, it's basically consequences of the previous one, but the problem now was talking about this one. My opinion about Bruno. As I said before, Bruno Onyemaechi, in my opinion, isn't a left back that's good enough for Olympiacos. On a general consent. Okay? He's not amazing. His biggest positive is that he's very athletic, but he's not great. In contrary, today, I didn't think he was that bad. That doesn't change that we need to eventually let him go, and as things have gone, replace both of our left backs. But we have much bigger problems right now than Bruno. That's where I want to land with that. Now, moving for no, that's fair. That's fair. I am expecting him to go. It's not the fact that I want him to go. I am expecting him to go. Probably after the qualifiers, but I'm still expecting him to go. I just want to completely make clear that I think we have bigger problems than Bruno Onyemaechi in this team. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Now, as I said, because I do want to talk some positives as well. I don't just want to keep going on and on about negatives. Manolis Saliakas, pre the injury, looks like a bona fide starter. And I don't mean to throw any shade towards Matteo, but this man has come back ready. I told you all last few episodes now where we've known about the Saliakas rumor going around. We knew how much this guy loves this team. And I did tell you all that this transfer is going to surprise you with how improved Manolis Saliakas is, having spent 4 years in the Bundesliga, playing some of the best in Europe, again, as a starter. And I am gonna quote here Karapapas when he said that he was, of course, the first one that called Saliakas to let him know about the transfer and the negotiations and stuff. The first thing that Saliakas asked is if he's coming home. When you combine readiness, physicality, quality, hard work with the knowing feeling of who you represent and where you are, you get Saliakas. And I am gonna say this openly. I hope he convinced even the last person that didn't want him here. And if he hasn't yet, he definitely will soon enough. Because we've been calling for a preference towards Saliakas for a while, and I'm sorry if we let go of Saliakas to pay 4 million for Tsapras, that would have been criminal. We made the right choice. And I said that a bit before we got cut down for like a minute. Having a backup that's so ready to be a starter and having two players of different but good quality will make sure that not only the best player of the two will start, but that the other will work even harder, pushing himself, knowing that he's fighting with someone for his position at his level, and he needs to be better and better day by day. As much as I've said I'm not the happiest with how we've gone about our transfer business, I think that in the center back and in the right back position, we've gotten it very, very right. I do truly and wholeheartedly believe that. And I truly hope it gets proven right. I don't need to say much about Karman Smilovic. They were not bad. They had mistakes in them, especially Karman with that own goal, but they definitely weren't bad. They were more left exposed, if anything. I do want to comment on the sub and the resub of Pablo Maffeo. Because, of course, Pablo Maffeo came on at the 59th and got subbed off at the 84th. I don't know if it was fatigue. I don't know if it was the fact that Mendy got annoyed. I mean, he's done it before. May I call back 2 years ago where David Carmo was subbed off in an official game nonetheless, 20 minutes in. He's done this before. And no matter the case, it was the correct decision because he either protected his player or he gave his player a lesson that he needs better. And again, that's what the friendlies are for. Tests. Just impressions. Working out mistakes. And everything like that, everything in between. I really liked Musa coming back from the injury. He looked very ready. He got a well-deserved assist. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I really like Jota Silva. I think he's here to prove a point. I think he's here to help the team, improve the team, and I think we'll see even better from him than what we've seen already. Joel Roca was very active, very, very active, but he does still need some work on the attacking department, but I did like at least what we saw. I'm not expecting Joel Roca to be a starter, so I'm happy with what he's doing. And the comment that I do want to focus on is this. El Kabi is back like good, old, fine wine. We need this man. We missed this man. We need this man scoring any goal possible. But I'm sure we'll see some fantastic goals going into the qualifiers as well. Now, I hate this segment. Transfer talk. Jolakis. Let's open this one. Kostadis Jolakis has left Olympiacos. He is already in England to complete his medical and be announced by Hull City, the team of Ajum, of course, those of you know. And we wish him truly the best. Truly the best. one of our own, one of the greatest, if not the greatest, goalkeeper Olympiacos has ever seen. He's definitely up there. It was about a few months ago, I don't think it's over a year, where someone brought up the argument of, is Konstantinos Tsolakis the best position for position player Olympiacos has ever seen? And I still stand on the positive answer of that argument. And I still say that Konstantinos Tsolakis is probably not the best goalkeeper that Olympiacos has ever seen as well. Left a legend. That night in Turkey will always be remembered. He literally ended Leonardo Bonucci's career. Let's not forget that. He literally ended Leonardo Bonucci's career. The year that solidified him to 2.5 years later, where he was an irreplaceable starter. I think the entirety of Olympiacos thanks him from the bottom of our hearts, and we will certainly follow him very, very closely, and we are waiting to see what the deal entails, honestly, and how this deal is gonna look for Olympiacos. And I do want a bit about the possible replacement for Konstantinos Tsolakis, and that, of course, is, at least seems to be, with all the goalkeeping names that we've heard, the very familiar Jose Sa. Jose Sa, that had a weird season last season with Wolves, was, of course, in a way, the mentor of Konstantinos Tsolakis. We are talking about, playstyle-wise, the most ideal choice in the emergency scenario that is unfolding of the sale of Konstantinos Tsolakis. He played 23 games last season, totaling 2,070 minutes. He had 4 clean sheets. He conceded 37 goals. He faced a number of 102 shots. I was alert this time. But as I was saying, I don't know where we left off, so I am gonna take it from the top. As we were saying, Jose Sa had a very weird season, playing 23 games, conceding 37, keeping 4 clean sheets, facing 102 shots on target, saving 65 of them, which does give him a 64% saves. And he did get 2 yellows. He did deal with an ankle injury in early May, in the final game of May, he did make 7 saves in a 1-1 draw against Burnley. Sa was a backup in the World Cup. Yeah, the signal's bad, but we cope. We will fix it. We'll fix it from next show. I did say that this was mostly a test, and we are about to wrap up. So that's more or less what the tale showed for Jose Sa. I hope it's him. I would have wanted Dominik Livakovic as well, to be honest, but I do understand the argument that he doesn't fit the playstyle of Mendilibar at all. And comparative to someone like Stefan Ortega, who did Olympiacos, because he is looking to go to Germany on different offers, Jose Sa seems like the ideal call. But we'll keep you all updated. We'll see how that goes. And of course, Olympiacos is also looking for a midfielder. And the name that seems to be at the top of that list looks like Antonio Blanco. Antonio Blanco, of course, is an anchor for Deportivo Alaves. Blanco had a very good season, a very developing season. You could go on and say a breakout season, where before he was mostly known as a very defensive focused midfielder. He added a lot of work into his attacking game as well. Blanco played 36 games for Alaves, starting all of them. He played 3,117 minutes of football, having 2 goals and 3 assists, with a passing accuracy of 86%, 37 successful tackles with 30 interceptions to his name, and 9 yellow cards. A trusted player in the Alaves squad, as we said. After going goalless in his prior seasons with Alaves, as we said again, Blanco managed 2 goals, including a very standout performance against Athletic Bilbao. He provided 3 assists and created 23 total chances, while maintaining the completion rate that we did mention. And his defensive work continued to be... Okay, we're fine. I thought we weren't fine for some reason. And his defensive work continued to be incredible. An aggressive presence with 74 clearances and a tactical 9 yellows. What's going on with Fabinho? Fabinho was never a call. Fabinho was genuinely never a call. We never were gonna pick up his contract. It's the same with the Leon Goretzka thing. We just never were gonna pick up a contract like that. We can't. It's outside of Greek standards. That's a top 5 league contract or a Saudi Arabia contract. This was never gonna happen. Like, let's be honest. I think out of the big names that have been heard, the most realistic one was Thrylos. And I think that case is still going on. And the last thing I want to say before going into the Erasitechni and wrapping up this very chaotic show is the fact that if a name really hasn't been in the media for a while, I would advise you to not completely write it off and keep all cases in mind, as Olympiacos always works on cases. Now, I want to give you also Erasitechni updates before we wrap up. There, of course, were the draws of the league that is now going to be called the Women's Basketball League, the WBL, where Olympiacos learned that we were going to open up against Panathinaikos at home on the 4th of October. Then it's going to be a meet us away on the 11th. Then, as we move forward, it's going to be Kronos at home. Then it's going to be PAOK away, and so on and so forth. In the 5th match day, it's going to be Panathinaikos at home. Then in the 7th match day, Athinaikos face Panathinaikos. Then in the 10th match day, we face Athinaikos. The thing that I do want you all to keep in mind in regards to the WBL is that the rule that hasn't changed is the fact that the teams do carry out the versus results in the playoffs as well. The second draw that happened is the handball premier draw, where we learned that, of course, the handball schedule is mirrored between round 1 and round 2. Olympiacos will face in the 1st and in the 12th match day Athinaikos. In the 2nd and the 13th, Olympiacos will face Aris Nikeas. In the 3rd and 14th, Olympiacos will face Kilkis. In the 4th and 15th match day, Olympiacos are going to face Ionikos. In the 5th and 16th match day is the derbies of the regular season with Olympiacos against AEK, and then so on and so forth. You'll find the schedule in the confederations side. But we're not done with basketball. We are done with basketball. We're not done with handball, because we want to mention one of the best transfers in the department, perhaps after Sava. One of, if not the top talent right now in Greek handball, which of course is former AEK player and best 7 of last season, Dimitris Panagiotou. Dimitris Panagiotou, of course, is arguably the top playmaker of Greece, who now has officially moved to Olympiacos. He helped AEK absolutely everywhere, having even 33 goals in their European run. And he is honestly probably the stamp of what we are set to expect next season. We had an announcement in the women's football department as well, with Maria Yorgula, the international left back slash CDM that has caps with all of the national teams. She spent the last 2 years with Rea, where before she was playing for a whole decade for Trikala. A very, very, very promising footballer, and I can't even believe that people went on to talk bad about this move. She's very promising, she's agile, she's fast. She has won the one under 17s Greek Cup and a third division championship. She has that to her name, and honestly, I'm more than happy that this is the first edition that we're having in the aims for our women's football side to be promoted, not rightfully, but deservingly so, to the first division and take over as Olympiacos deserves to do. And the last thing before I wrap up is the rise of this kid to the level of signing with Olympiacos. And of course, I'm talking about the latest and very talented signing for our volleyball team, and that is the very, very, very promising Thrylos Perdikeas, the 2009 born outside hitter. As insane as that is to say, this man doesn't have a limit. It's not the sky is the limit with him. This man doesn't have a limit. He's 194. He's an outside hitter. Of course, he has represented the under 18s as captain. He's now in the under 19s called up, and he perhaps is one of the many working representations of how positive the volleyball department's looking for next season. My opinion about the program, the schedule of the women's basketball team. Honestly, it's just a derby. Like, no disrespect to the rest of the teams, but we are building a team that is meant to battle Olympiacos as much as possible and demolish the others. And that's exactly what's going to happen, in my opinion. I am about to slowly but surely wrap up, as we are over an hour and 5 minutes somehow. Today's show was chaotic. We cut twice, but I do hope you all still enjoyed. We still talk about a lot of stuff. We managed to get a lot of stuff out. And as I said, today was going to be a test. We know what the problems are. I've already fixed them, thankfully. So we move. I'll see you all soon with a more detailed recap of pre-season and how everyone did. And I'll see you all without many tech issues. As always, thank you.